Okay. Okay. So what would make sense for alleles? Let's design our alleles. Big P. Nope. This is codominance. P and W. Okay. But remember, we want those to be our superscripts. So what letter? Yes. C for color. I like that. So C for color. So purple would be CP and white would be CW. So we know it's codominant because we have a capital P, a capital W. Okay. So now we need to cross a purple petunia. Sorry. We are crossing a striped petunia and a purple petunia. So striped will be, oh, that's a weird dimension. Looks like a window. CP, CW. Does order matter? Not really. We get the same answer either way. So there's our striped petunia. Our purple petunia will be CP, CP. All right, fill in, count your percentage. I want my percent. I like percent. You should be able to do ratios and percent. Are we all good with going between the two? Okay. So the first answer that I want is the genotype. We'll do the ratio, something to something, right? Or you might have 3. And we want it also in a percent. So what percent, what percent, what? Phenotype. That's where you're actually going to tell me also ratios, right? We could have a ratio, but we could also have percentages on that too. All right. So I'm going to fill in. Yours should be filled in similar to mine. If you did yours yesterday and you put your stripes on the side and your purple on the top, don't change it. It's fine. As long as our inside answers are the same ones, they could be in whatever order. Okay, so based on my filled in, what is my genotype percentages? 50-50. Okay, so we have 2 purple and 2 striped. Huh? Oh, sorry. No. Did you say all of them are purple? No. Oh, homozygous dominant. There you go. Sorry. Okay, so genotype. We will have a, what ratio would that be if it's 50-50? We could put 2 to 2, but reduced 1 to 1. 1 to 1 ratio. Okay. So if we do percentages, we would put 50%. And if this is a genotype, we would put 50% what? Yes, we actually write the alleles. 50% CP, CP, and 50% CPCW. You could also write 50% homozygous dominant, 50% heterozygous. It's still heterozygous. Yeah, but it is codominant heterozygous. Yeah. I like to just write the alleles because it's faster and there's less letters. So our phenotype percentage in this case is the same, right? Is it always the same? No. And with this one, we would put 50% purple and 50% striped. So on a test, you will want to make sure that you are able to give the genotype frequencies, percentages, and the phenotype. If they ask you for phenotype, don't talk about the genotype. Make sure you read the question carefully. It depends on the question. It might ask you for percent, give percent. So just read read the question. That's why I want to prepare you to be able to do both. All righty. This is the one we just did, yes? Okay. Number 2. Let's do number 2. Is this one in there? White cow. It's not the same. These practice problems are not the same practice problems. Okay. Best friend. I think what I wanted to do was practice together, and then this is at home practice. So what do we want to do? Do we want to do the packet practice? Let's do the packet practice. Okay. Ignore number 2 for now. We're going to do number 2 from the packet. I'll do this one over here. All right, number 2 in the packet. It says a white cow has mated with a red bull, producing a roan calf. Close inspection of the calf revealed its roan color is caused by a mixture of red and white hairs. What is the calf's genotype? Oh, that's easy. What's the calf's genotype? We're going to do C for color. Okay, so C. What are the 2 colors? CRCW. A white cow is mated with a red bull. C, W, C, R, or other way around. That's fine. Good. All right. Wow. Actually, let's do number 2. Number 2. A roan cow was mated with a roan bull. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to do number 2 on the board.
Oh, there's number 2.
This number 2.
Oh, I thought that.
Well, maybe I'll call on somebody to come up. I will.
Please.
You want me to do it or you to do it? Up on the whiteboard. My only problem is sometimes when people come up to the whiteboard, they write this big. And then everyone else, that doesn't necessarily mean it. We'll try. Roan means it's red and white splotched together. I'll get my cards. I haven't used the cards in a while. I guess you guys are willing and able. If I just say write big, you can write big, right? All right, I'm going to take a lap and see if anyone needs help. So when you get called up to the board, you feel prepared. So we're doing 2 roan cows. So you're going to do CWCR on the top and CWCR on the bottom. You can do percent or ratio, but if I ask for one specifically, you should be able to get it. Help you? Okay, you did CRCW. Okay, so we're crossing 2 roan cows. So roan, so do your punch. So remember, roan is our codominant. So a roan cow is going to be CR. Okay, and we need 2 roan cows. We have roan mom and roan dad. Okay. Sure. Pretty good. CRCW. All right. RW. Okay. Your phenotype, though, too.
What two?
I feel stupid.
4.
This is the one you pick.
1.
All right, the answers I want.
0, 0, 1. 4, 0, 1, 0.
But when you said the ratio, I was going to why 1 1. But then you missed.
I automatically think I was completely wrong. Brain's getting worse every day.
Me? I meant to say.
What did you guys? This one, the genotype is Samson. All right. Who's coming up? Sander. Please fill in the box. Jaden. Please give me my ratio and my percentages. You're doing the box. Jaden's doing the answer. Yep. Okay. All in the cards. Don't you guys love Lucas's card? How good is this? On top. Yeah. This card just always on top. It just has been. No. I can still pick my favorites. Our favorites. I still haven't done that. We still need to pick our top five. I can tell you for sure Lucas is one of them. Yeah. Okay. All right. What do we think? Anybody have a problem with these answers? We have RR, RW, RW, WW. Okay. 1 to 2 to 1, right? Because we have 1 RR, 1 RR, 2 RWs, and 1 WW. Right? 1 to 2 to 1. We good? Okay. 25, 50, 25. If I ask you for the phenotype percentages, would it be the same as our genotype?
Same.
In this case, it would be the same. Good. When you have regular dominant recessive, it would be different. In codominant, I think it's always the same in codominant. But like, well, yeah, if it's just regular dominant recessive, it's not always the same. Let's do number 3. On the board. Number 3. A woman with sickle cell has a child. Sickle cell trait has a child with a male with sickle cell disease. Give the expected genotype and phenotype outcomes. Okay. So this is not sex linked, so we don't have to worry about that yet. Okay, let's figure out our alleles. We're doing sickle cell trait. Okay, and then we have sickle and we have normal. CN and CS, I like that. CN would be a normal allele, cell normal. CS would be sickle. Right. Trait comes from the allele, right? Yeah. The sickle cell trait means that she basically has one of the alleles. Because CN would be normal. So there's only 2 alleles. There's either the normal allele or the sickle allele. Okay. All right. So if we're doing the sickle trait, that's going to be what's going to be on our Punnett square. That means that she has the trait, but she does not have the full disease. So she's a carrier, we would say. CNCS. Okay. And she has a child with a male with the disease. CSCS. Okay. Give you guys a couple minutes. I think first date maybe a little early.
Says who? Says who?
Yeah, definitely before you decide to have babies. Unless you don't care. Some people are like, I love you no matter what. We're having babies no matter what. But it's probably, I say that because the doctors will ask you. The first phone call I made, I was like, doctor, I'm pregnant. And they're like, okay, we have a survey for you. And then they ask all these questions. And some of them were about genetic diseases and things. It's kind of a lot for the first phone call. Okay, so I want genotype, ratio, I want genotype percent, and I think we'll stop there. All right, I'm calling on 2 more people. Are you ready? Let's shuffle. I could call on you again.
No, that's segregation. We like segregation, remember?
You weren't here for that.
Oh, here's your question.
Segregation in biology. We wouldn't be here without segregation. I should have known.
It's a very nice card. Definitely in the running for one of the top cards.
Who? Mine? No, I think mine.
Kessler,
Let's go. Yeah.
please fill in the punch square. And Nikki, give us the answers. Genotype. Because I don't know. Maybe you need 3, maybe you don't use all 3. You could technically do like 1 to 2 to 0 or something like that. But if it's 0, you could delete that. Sorry, my box was a little. You want both the ratio? Yes.
Oh, he erased the
Your
ball.
job out there is to make sure they're doing it right.
I think that's what's doing wrong.
Okay, we don't need to be that picky.
I guess it distracts me.
All right, let's start with the box. Is the box correct? Okay. How about our ratio? Is that good so far?
At least it feels easy.
See, you guys do write small.
No, the
It's
box
okay.
was small.
No, it's okay. Any questions? Okay, you will have a question like this on a test, most likely. We are on to incomplete dominance. Now, this is not actually written in your packet, but that's okay. We still need to remember it. So, incomplete dominance is when you get a blend. All right. Oh, conversation's done. Back up here.
Oh, no.
Because it's the same. Okay, really, you should have it, but it's the same. Right? Okay. This case, we're not back to normal. Sorry. Just with incomplete dominance, you just want to know it's a blend. Actually, I should have put it in the packet. I don't know I did. Maybe above codominant. Can we just go right above codominant for incomplete dominance? And put heterozygous is a blend. So this is where you'd have a purple flower and a white flower. No, sorry, a red flower and a white flower making what? Pink. Okay, so you would get a blend. We also, on one test, had the example of the curly hair and the straight hair. Our blend would be what? Wavy, right? So it's like the medium, kind of. If it was codominant, we would have half straight hair and half curly hair. That would be weird. Might be cute, actually, depending if it was like half one side and half the other. But just make sure, incomplete dominance is a blend. Codominance is where you'll have the splotchy. Okay, both alleles are equally expressed. All right, here we go. Yell at me. Heterozygous is a blend. Make it shorter. Make it life easier. If you were listening, I told you where to put it. Sorry, I will make sure to get that in the packet.
Screw with the flat brain.
Yeah, top 5. And then I'll cross-reference. And if we need to fight about it, we'll fight. Okay, here you go. Genotype, you know this. Go quickly. Go, 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 go. Pair of alleles that an organism has. Just in red. Pair of alleles. You could probably just say the pair of alleles. That should be obvious that it's an organism. And of course, remember we can have homozygous dominant, homozygous recessive, or heterozygous. Either way, we're not talking at this point. You're writing. You're thinking. You're either thinking to yourself, I still have this memorized, I am good to go for a test. Or, man, I should study this later. Okay. Heterozygous, different alleles. You got this. Ready to go. All that other mumbo jumbo you already know. Homozygous, same alleles. Good. Better now that I had a slight bit of caffeine. Thank you. Still on record? Huh? Somebody told me about TikTok.
Yeah, it takes off the load of a pregnant lady. They like lift up your stomach.
They actually have belts that you can wear
Really?
that like go up like around your back and supposed to like.
The hell?
I don't have one.
You have the full body pillow?
You get one of those
I do have that.
Yeah, the deadlift belts.
Don't think those are made for pregnant people.
Says who?
True breeding means that the parents are homozygous. So true breeding or pure breeding means that the parents will always produce offspring that have the same phenotypes. So that means they have to be homozygous. If they were heterozygous, they might give you a white flower, right? But if the parents are both homozygous, there's no way to ever get a white flower. Okay, so true breeding means the parents, both of the parents, have to be homozygous. Okay? Yes. It could be dominant or recessive, either way. Yes. Yes, oftentimes this is done in dog breeding. Dog breeding can get icky when inbreeding can happen with that, but there's a way to do it without that. Phenotype, observable characteristics. So I used to teach phenotype PH because of physical. Phenotype is physical, but it's not always. Because like your attitude, maybe you have a temper. That's not necessarily physical, right? But it is observable. So it's not only things you can see, a lot of times it is, but it could be behavior, for example, as well. So observable characteristics is a better way to describe phenotype. Uh-huh. Right.
If I read a certain way, I can see my grandpa. Is that a form of a phenotype? You could say,
Maybe. I don't know that we have evidence that that's connected to any sort of allele. But if it was, it would be a phenotype.
Well, is it your own personality? So it's like, oh, this person is very shy, or is there an
I've heard that too. I don't know how much scientific backing there is, but yeah. So I don't know if that's in the realm of possible pseudoscience or not, just because I don't know if we've actually done like studies, scientific studies on it. But it's possible. Also, I know that my writing has changed. If you look at some of my writing from when I was in college, you would not even think it's me at all. I specifically changed it. Actually, partially what I changed it for was because I used to write in all caps, or like most of my letters were capital and some were lowercase. And as a teacher, I felt like that wasn't necessarily good to show you technically wrong writing. In high school, I guess it doesn't matter as much. But if I was teaching like elementary school, where you're supposed to know the difference between capital and lowercase. I'm saying in high school probably doesn't matter as much, but I decided I should probably change that if I'm going to be a model for human beings. Also, my writing changed when I started writing on the whiteboard. Some of my letters changed. Yeah, that too. Or also how fast you write. Okay. So we actually had a lot of this from our last unit, but it goes with this unit as well. So we know that gametes are haploid cells that fuse together. What we didn't necessarily write down last unit was the difference between male and female. We know sperm and egg. Okay. You should know that an egg is also called an ovum. Male. Probably you already know that the sperm are smaller because you may have seen an actual image of sperm trying to get in the egg. The egg is like huge compared to a sperm. Also, the sperm can self-propel little tails. Eggs are just passively moved through the body. They can't like swim towards them. I don't know about that. They do a lot of work. As soon as they get fertilized, they are no longer lazy. And also a difference, which you don't have to write down, but the difference, males are constantly producing gametes all the time. Females produce all their gametes before they're even born. And then they just hold on to them for the rest of their life.
I have a lot of tops, so you can choose your
Okay. Good. Guys, I cannot hear it. How rude. Can they run out? I don't know that they necessarily run out, but the number does decrease. So you will find as you get older, I think the problem is more that the eggs are less viable. They're kind of old. Not as much as that they run out, but they're not fresh and new. So that's the bigger problem. Big. Oh, when did I do that? Okay. All right, so you guys should be able to figure this out. Possible allele combinations in the zygote if there are 2 alleles of a gene in the population. So for a lot of our genes have only 2 alleles. With 2 alleles, we have 3 combos. What are those 3 combos? Homozygous dominant, homozygous recessive, and heterozygous. Write those in. Oh man, we have a lot of tops to choose from. Okay. Round 1, now I have to choose from all of these. All right, who made the cut so far? Man, Josie, me, Aiden, Mahalia, Nikki, Jesus,
I love the mother.
Abby. Ooh, Abby's at Disney. That's got my heart right there.
She is. She's on the game.
Lucas.
I got you.
Kalia, Aide, Salomia, and Ricardo. That's a hard choice. Oh man, I didn't have a. Okay, do the next one without me showing it to you. I forgot to have the blank. So, if there are 3 alleles, as you can see, we have much more combinations. Specifically, the example that you need to know where we have 3 alleles is blood type. given you your 3 alleles, what are all the different ways you can combine those 3 symbols into 2 pairs of 2? Okay. See if you can figure it out. Don't just wait for me to give you.
Thinking.
What are all the different ways you can combine these 3 letters into pairs of 2? Good so far? So we want these 3 letters. You have to combine them in pairs of 2. Yes. So there's all those different ways. Good. I think it's always good to keep the A before the B. If you have A and B together. If you can't find them by tomorrow, I can print another copy. Ghostwriting? Oh, thank you. And you can use the same one twice too. Good. Check your answer. Yes. What? About sperm and egg? Okay, you can ask that in front of class. What?
No, it's not.
At a certain point, you gotta make it not weird. Because it's beautiful and amazing. That was the process. Process of what? Yes. Well, okay, so basically what has to happen is sperm has to get in the egg. And once that happens, something called, it's not attachment. It's, right. It has the egg, and then once it gets in the egg will attach to the uterus. Just like a hallway. Okay, so through the process of female monthly process, egg will travel down, 1 egg or 2. So egg travels down to a certain area. If the sperm hits that egg when it's in this area, it'll fertilize and it'll attach to the uterus and then grow a baby. If the egg is not there, then nothing happens. Until implantation. That's what it'll implant. And once it implants, then it starts to multiply and grow.
I don't know if attachment implant is better, but okay.
Yes. I don't necessarily think so, because either way, what causes that is a rupture of lining that completely comes out. That happens no matter what. So I don't think 1 or 2 eggs matter. Yes. It's just like chickens. They lay an egg. It's not fertilized. So we basically lay eggs, but you just can't see them. Yeah. I think it comes out as like that kind of stuff. But it's so tiny you never know. Okay. Moving on. All great questions. What is a genetic disease? A disease caused by genetics. All right. An illness that is caused in whole or in part by a change in the DNA sequence. That's a better. I remember being in a college course and my teacher was teaching the very specifics of that time of the month. And I remember looking around and all the women were just like, oh, just like squinching and like hurting because he was teaching much more detail than you know. And he was explaining it with such detail that it's like you could literally like feel these things happening. It was terrible. And we all left the class. We all left the class and we're like, that was the worst class ever. Like we didn't want to know all of that. Probably. I got an A in that class. But I just remember, and he was teaching it like with such like depth. And I was like, nobody wants to know any of this. Okay. Here is a wonderful graphic as you are finishing your writing, showing some different diseases. Most of them you probably have never heard of. But it shows you which chromosome it's on. So you can tell that each chromosome has at least one disease, genetic disease that is affiliated with it. Right?
Mr. Vincent would be like, yeah, remember.
So this, it sounds like he kind of already was, like partially.
I know. I got that and I was like, okay.
So we need to contrast genetic diseases caused by these different ones. So you have dominant, recessive, codominant, and sex-linked. Autosomal is not on your packet. That's okay. So dominant, under that bullet point, if a person has one dominant allele, they will have the disease. Our example for that was Huntington's. So one dominant allele will give you that disease. Those are more rare because generally, in a lot of cases, when two human beings come together to make a baby, if you have a genetic disorder, you may choose not to, or you may choose to get some testing done before you do that. With the recessive alleles, like I said before, my cousin or my husband's cousin, she had cystic fibrosis. Neither parent had cystic fibrosis. So they had no idea that there was a chance to have a cystic fibrosis baby, but they were both carriers. They didn't know that because neither of them had the disease, and neither of them had that in the family in the past either. So with the recessive diseases, those generally will happen more often because you may not know that you're a carrier. Yeah, you're not going to be like, oh, there's a concern of us having a baby. Like I said, people might decide to have the baby anyways because they decide even if it comes out with whatever, we're still going to have it and do it and do that process. But now we have genetic testing, which is really nice and helps our decisions as well. Codominant heterozygotes have a different phenotype than individuals with two copies. So like sickle cell. If you're heterozygous for sickle cell, you have some normal cells and some sickle cells. So you don't have as much of the disease, I guess you could say. It doesn't affect you as much as if you have homozygous sickle cell. All right, so we have dominant, recessive, codominant. Separately, we have autosomal and sex-linked. You only have to write sex-linked, but autosomal is the opposite. Autosomal just means that males and females will be equally affected because it's not on the sex chromosome. Sex-linked genes, sex-linked diseases are on the sex chromosomes. And this will be very important when we get into pedigrees. When looking at a pedigree, you have to be able to determine if it's sex-linked or not. Sex-linked, you will have a different pattern of inheritance in males and females. Most of the time, it's more common in males. If it's on the X chromosome, it's more common in males. You had that on your test. So color blindness and hemophilia are two examples of that. All right. Okay, we will stop there. I do want to say, you guys, it is very likely that these practice problems will become official homework. So if you have any extra time in any of your days over the next couple of days or the weekend, please work on the practice problems. And we're not gonna have time to do them all in class. Okay, so work on those practice problems. And I'll be here at lunch today. Here's the thing about lunch. If I say I'll be here and no one comes, I'm gonna go next door. If you come and you're like, I really, really need Mrs. Lazier, come next door. Just know you're interrupting a pregnant person from eating. But I'll be there and I'll be willing to help you if you ask me nicely. If you really need me, I can bring my lunch here and we will do what we need to
You're
do.
gonna pull the guilt card.
I just want you guys to know where I am so you can find me.
Yeah.
You too. Bye. Keep always trying to remember to put my cords on the hook. It helps. Yes. Hey.
Okay, so when it comes to like deadly diseases,
Yes.
like I know that like is that the same thing? Like if the male and female have sex,
Yes.
like they can get disease.
You mean sexually transmitted diseases?
Yeah.
No, those are not genetic diseases. Some of them are, some of them are bacterial.
Oh, wait, so you really can get those from like being born? I thought
You
you
can.
weren't born with HIV.
So they tested me for chlamydia twice. Once in the beginning and once recently. Because if I would have that, then they would probably do a C-section. Because they don't want anything coming out through that body.
I thought HIV is like transmitted to
Is what?
Syphilis and STD?
I don't remember which.
Shit, but if it was,
So it's an STD. I don't know if it's bacterial or viral. 4, 3, 15? Oh, 3:15 to 4. Can I come after? Do that work? Yeah, that's fine. And, I was more present today. So yeah, that's different. I think it's possible that some of those sexually transmitted diseases, you might be genetically predisposed to them. So like you've heard HIV, some people are immune to it. That's a genetic thing. But you still have to contract it through having sex.
okay,
Or sharing needles or whatever.
let me ask you this. When it comes to like sexually transmitted disease, male and female, like are there like higher chances to get a sexually transmitted if it's male and female or like male and female?
I think it depends on the disease.
Okay.
Like we know HIV, I think, is more prevalent in the gay community. And I think that's because that one is transferred through blood transfer. And usually when it's male, female, there's not bleeding generally. Sometimes male and male, there is some of that just because of how the process happens. So that's why it makes it more likely, but I'm not sure if that's true for all of them or if that's just true for HIV. Huh? Yeah, they're supposed to read and yeah, we have it. Oh, awkward questions.
Well, a lot of the tests.
Yeah.
A lot of cardiovascular things, like
Yeah.
barely, but
Yeah, immunology is a very short unit. Yeah, and I think digestive is pretty prevalent too.
like all the practice.
See, it's so annoying.
A lot of the digestive.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely make sure that we get there. All right. I definitely like the mushroom. I really like Kalia's and Lucas's. Yeah. Nikki's is really cute. Is it? I think I might have to go with 6. I don't know if I can do 5.